My name is Luke Lund and I'm the Digital Regional Coach for the Southeast region. Today I'm going to be showing you how to teach from the front of your classroom live streaming using our MeetUp cameras. These cameras are super awesome and are a really great way to bring our classes to our students that are at home. So I'm going to be able to teach in the front of my space here. I have my Promethean board here. You can have a new line panel, you can have a whiteboard, it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to be able to teach in this space. My students' first row is the required distance away from me, so that when I'm wearing my mask, when I have students actually in my classroom, then I can interact with my students in a safe way, and they have still access to me, and I have the traditional front of my room here. This setup is just one of the options that you can do with the MeetUp Cam, but it's a really great way to keep your traditional classroom going for your students. So my Logitech MeetUp Cam is a really, really nice camera. It has 2 speakers built into it. So your audio from your Google Meet is going to come right from here, and your audio in is going to come in here because we have a built-in microphone in the back and 2 in the front as well. So we have 2 speakers, 3 microphones in this thing. It does a lovely job of being loud enough for everybody in the class to hear, so when a student comes off of mute, they have a question from home, they can come on and they say, "Hey, Mr. Mund, I have a question." They ask it. Everybody in the class is going to be able to hear what that question is really clearly. It really breaks down a lot of those barriers for our students at home. Then the camera quality is absolutely fantastic on here. It's a wide angle cam, so it's oftentimes best set up at the side of the classroom or maybe even in the back of the classroom. It depends upon your individual setting, but I've done a lot of these installs where it's like on top of a bookshelf on the side of the classroom. It does need power, so make sure that you can be within a few feet of power. I know in some of our schools it's more limited. I'm in a school right now where I only have 2 plug-ins, so this one's going to have to go towards the front of the room or the back of the room because that's the only plugs that I have in this room here. And then I have just a regular old USB that plugs into my computer here. This USB does have a long cable so that you can be several feet away from your camera. My camera then is on the side of the room or near the front of the room, and I can interact with my students that way. Primarily, my camera is going to be facing the front area, but I can have the option to use my remote to help control my camera since it is going to be a little bit distance away. If you watch here, I can move the camera back and forth based off of the movements of my remote here. I also can turn up the volume, so if I am doing like a work time or I'm going to be pulling small groups, I can turn the volume all the way down so that a student at home doesn't disrupt my whole class during work time. I can also zoom in on there, and so if I wanted them just focusing on my teacher workspace, say during a short lesson, then I can have that zoomed in there as well. And I can fully control it from here, which is really nice. So when my students are asking a question, I can face it out towards my audience and then have it back towards me when I'm answering the question, or vice versa on there. So that provides really great video. For my students at home, I'm going to have my teacher device set up right here so that while I'm teaching my class, I can see my remote students and see my students that are in the class here as well. If you have the option to use either 2 devices or 2 screens, that really makes things easier to manage. That is because if I have 2 screens, I can be projecting to my board if running like my Google slideshow or running my Promethean board up here, have 1 screen that's my lesson and then 1 screen that's my student. So I can always keep an eye on my students, or I can do that with 2 devices. So I can have my teacher device and maybe say a teacher Chromebook or a borrowed student Chromebook. If you have any extras, you can ask somebody like your STR or somebody to get an extra Chromebook, and then I can teach off of my teacher laptop and then have my Chromebook actually running the Logitech. Have a lot of success with teachers. I'm going to plug in a separate Chromebook right into my Logitech. My Logitech is my audio, my video, and it provides just a really, really great interface. We want to be thinking of equity for our students as much as possible and breaking down the barriers for our students at home. 1, because we want to provide really great instruction for them, but 2, we know that our students of color are more likely to be remote right now. So the more that I can have my students interacting with each other, coming off of mute, asking a question in a very equitable way to all the other students they have in class, for my students at home to be able to interact with the students in class, that they could ask a question, maybe somebody in the class answers the question, then I pivot the camera and I have one of my students answer the question there as well. If you have the option to do additional displays too, that's nice that you can maybe turn the computer around or the device around to face the audience so that the students can see each other back and forth. It really helps break down those barriers. So this is just one option how I can use my Logitech in the front of the room, but it's a really great way to provide equitable access for our students at home and our students in class.